He ghosted the woman who once loved him and never forgave himself. Years later, he stood alone at her grave, whispering an apology she would never hear. But when her brother appeared behind him, the past came roaring back. Stay with us until the end. This story will hit you deep in the heart. The sky over Mapleton, Pennsylvania hung heavy with gray clouds, casting long shadows across the narrow streets of the small industrial town. Faded brick buildings lined Main Street, their windows fogged by the steady drizzle of late October. Ryan Walker's truck, an aging Ford F-150, with a cracked windshield and rust creeping up its sides, rolled slowly past the gas station where he used to pump fuel as a teenager. Everything looked smaller now, older, like it had been holding its breath since she left. Ryan hadn't been back in almost 7 years. The town hadn't changed much, but he had. His hands, once steady, now trembled as he gripped the steering wheel. His heart pounded with every mile that brought him closer to Fairhill Cemetery, tucked behind St. Andrew's Church, where Emily Carter had been buried on a cold February morning 6 years ago. He hadn't gone to the funeral. He hadn't even called. Back then, everything had felt overwhelming. The pressure of running his dad's failing garage, his own fears of commitment, the gnawing guilt of not being enough for her. So he disappeared. A 2-line text. And silence. She'd died in a car crash just months later. That news had hit him like a freight train, but he didn't come back. He couldn't. He'd told himself it would be selfish, that his presence wouldn't change anything. But he knew the truth. He was ashamed. Now, years later, with no family left and nothing holding him in Pittsburgh, Ryan was finally back. He needed to speak, even if she couldn't hear him, even if it was far too late. The gravel crunched under his boots as he stepped out of the truck, the cemetery silent but for the soft rustle of wind through dying leaves. He walked past headstones marked with names he recognized: childhood friends' parents, a teacher, the man who ran the bakery. And then he saw it. Emily Lynn Carter, 1989, 2019. Loved deeply, lost too soon. His throat tightened. He stood frozen, staring at the simple stone. A small planter at its base overflowed with wilted flowers and a ceramic angel, its wing chipped. He crouched down slowly, knees stiff from years of labor and age, and placed a single white daisy by the stone. His voice cracked. "Hey, Em, it's me. I know I'm the last person you'd expect here." He paused, swallowing the rising lump in his throat. "I was a coward. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't even try, and not a day has gone by that I haven't thought about you." A cold gust blew past, tugging at the hem of his jacket. "You deserved better. From me. From the world." The tears came quietly, running down unshaven cheeks. The wind picked up. He bowed his head, hands clasped, trying to force the words out. But then, a tap on his shoulder. Ryan spun, startled. Standing behind him was a man in his late 20s, lean frame, buzzed hair, and eyes that looked hollow, like they'd seen too much too soon. "You're Ryan Walker, aren't you?" Ryan's heart dropped. "Yeah, I am. I'm Derek, Emily's brother." The silence between them was heavier than the gray sky above. Derek's jaw was tight, his hands buried deep in the pockets of a worn hoodie. "You got a lot of nerve showing up here." Ryan stood stiffly, his breath visible in the cold air between him and Derek. The younger man's stare was hard, unreadable, the kind of look that came from someone who'd lost too much too early and never got a real explanation why. Ryan swallowed. "I know I don't have the right to be here, but I came because I had to say what I never said." Derek looked down at the grave, then back up at Ryan. His voice was low, controlled, but the anger was there, under the surface. "You think that makes it okay? That after all these years you show up, drop some flowers, and everything just balances out?" "No," Ryan said. "I don't think anything can make it okay." There was a beat of silence. The wind had stilled, and the rustling leaves gave way to a heavy stillness. Derek shifted his weight from one foot to the other, like he was holding something in, Maybe words. Maybe fists. She waited for you, man, Derek said. Even when she was sick. Did you know that? Ryan's head snapped up. Sick? Derek scoffed, half shaking his head. Of course you didn't. Why would you? You were gone. He turned away, facing the row of headstones behind them. She had some kind of autoimmune thing, came out of nowhere. Her immune system just turned on her. Took months to figure it out. She was in and out of the hospital, but she still kept hoping you'd show. Ryan felt like the air had been sucked from his lungs. The accident. That's what he'd heard. Everyone said it was a crash on I-81, a storm, bad tires. But that wasn't the whole story. Not even close. Why didn't anyone tell me? He asked quietly. Derek turned back, eyes burning. Why would we? You left her, Ryan. You vanished. Ryan's voice was barely a whisper. I thought she was better off without me. You don't get to decide that, Derek snapped. She needed you, but you were too proud or scared or whatever the hell your excuse was. Ryan felt the sting. It was true. He hadn't just run from her. He'd run from the weight of being needed. From the fear of screwing things up. I can't change what I did, Ryan said, but I want to make things right. Somehow. Derek gave a bitter laugh. Right? You think there's a right after this? But something in his posture softened. Not much, but enough. Maybe it was the way Ryan looked genuinely broken. Maybe it was the years of carrying this alone. Derek's shoulders dropped just a bit. There's a coffee shop a block from here, Marcy's, you remember it? Ryan nodded. Meet me there tomorrow morning. 10. You want to make something right? You better be there. And with that, Derek turned and walked away down the gravel path, hands in his pockets, leaving Ryan alone again at Emily's grave. Ryan knelt once more, brushing his fingers gently over her name. I didn't know, he whispered, but I should have. I should have stayed. The clouds above rumbled with distant thunder and the first drops of real rain began to fall. The next morning, Ryan stood outside Marcy's diner, the place that used to smell like cinnamon rolls and burnt coffee. It looked almost the same. Aluminum siding dulled by time, a faded, open 6 a.m. 2 p.m. sign, and the same cracked booth by the window where he and Emily used to sit on lazy Saturday mornings. He hesitated before walking in. Derek was already there, alone at the back, nursing a mug of black coffee, arms crossed tight. He didn't wave Ryan over, just looked up, then back down, like he wasn't sure if he wanted this conversation to happen. Ryan slid into the booth slowly, the red vinyl seat squeaking under his weight. The silence between them stretched. You came, Derek finally said. I said I would, Ryan replied. A waitress passed by, recognizing Ryan immediately. Her name tag read, Jules. Well, I'll be damned, Ryan Walker. Thought you vanished for good, she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Just coffee, Jules, Ryan said. She nodded and walked away, leaving them in the awkward quiet of a half-empty diner. Derek stared into his mug. She didn't tell anyone about you for a long time, he said. Even after you left. Said she didn't want to make you the villain. Ryan looked down. She wasn't angry? Oh, she was, Derek said, a bitter laugh escaping. But mostly she was hurt, confused. She thought she did something wrong. Those words landed like bricks. Ryan clenched his jaw. It wasn't her. It was never her. I wasn't ready. I thought if I stayed, I'd drag her down with me, so you let her suffer alone instead? There was no malice in Derek's tone now, just exhaustion. It was like both of them were tired of carrying the same weight in different ways. Ryan leaned forward, elbows on the table. I can't undo it. I know that. But if there's something I can do, to help, to fix even a piece of this, tell me. Derek looked at him for a long time. Then he reached into his backpack and slid something across the table. A journal. worn leather cover. Pages swollen from humidity and tears. She kept writing, even when her hands hurt. She wrote about you, about the time you spent together, about what she wished she could have said. Ryan's hands trembled as he picked it up. "Why are you giving me this?" "Because I don't want to hate you anymore," Derek said quietly. "I've held on to this anger for so long, it's killing me. And maybe you need to know who she really was, what she felt, before she left." Ryan nodded, too choked up to speak. Jules came back with the coffee and placed it down gently, eyeing the journal, then stepping away without a word. Derek reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded photograph. This was taken 2 weeks before the accident. She smiled for the camera, but she was already slipping. You can see it in her eyes. Ryan stared at the picture. Emily in a summer dress, sunlight filtering through maple trees behind her. Her smile was real, but something about her eyes felt distant, tired. "I should have been there," Ryan whispered. "Yeah," Derek said, "you should have." But he wasn't yelling anymore, just stating the truth. They sat in silence again. But this time, it was different. Not empty, just heavy. Ryan tapped the journal once with his finger. "Can I keep this?" "It's yours now." As Derek stood to leave, he paused. "She forgave you, you know. Wrote it down. Said she understood why you left, even if it broke her." Ryan's voice cracked. "I didn't deserve her forgiveness. None of us deserve anything," Derek said. "We just try to do better. That's all we can do." And then he walked out, the diner door chiming behind him. Ryan stayed there, alone in the booth, with a cup of cold coffee, and the last words Emily ever wrote. The sun was setting over Mapleton, casting a soft amber glow across the quiet town. Ryan sat in his childhood bedroom, the one with peeling posters of old baseball teams and rusting model car kits still on the shelf. The journal rested in his lap, open to the last few entries. Emily's handwriting had grown shaky, but the words were sharp, vivid, a window into the parts of her he never truly knew. "I still think about Ryan. Not in the way I used to. Not with anger. Just with weight. Like there's a piece of me that never got to finish a sentence." He ran, but I know why. I saw it in his eyes back then. The panic, the fear of not being enough. But what he didn't understand is that I never needed perfect. I just needed present. If he ever comes back, I hope he doesn't just apologize. I hope he listens. Ryan closed the journal. Outside, the trees rustled in the wind, their leaves falling like slow, drifting regrets. He stood and walked down the narrow hallway toward the living room, where his duffel bag waited by the door. Tomorrow, he'd leave again, but not to escape, to restart. The next morning, he returned to Fair Hill Cemetery. The rain had passed and the sky was a calm blue. A few leaves blew across the grass as he knelt by Emily's grave again, this time, not alone. He placed the journal gently at the base of the headstone, sealed in a waterproof bag. "This belongs with you," he said softly, "but I'll carry what's in it." He reached into his coat and took out the photo Derek had given him, the one of Emily beneath the maple trees. He didn't need it anymore. "I remember your face better than any picture ever could," he whispered. For a moment the world was quiet. No wind, no voices, no cars passing in the distance, just stillness. Then footsteps. Ryan turned. It was Derek again, hands in the pockets of a cleaner jacket, face calm. "You read it?" he asked. "All of it," Ryan replied. They stood together for a moment side by side. "I'm leaving town tomorrow," Ryan said. "Not running, just starting fresh. Somewhere I can build something instead of digging up the past." Derek nodded. "Good. Emily would have wanted that." Ryan looked at him, this young man who had every reason to hate him and had chosen not to. "You're stronger than I ever was," Ryan said. "Maybe. Or maybe I just learned how to let go sooner." They shared a small, tired smile. "Take care of yourself, Derek." You too, Ryan. As Ryan walked away, he didn't look back. Not because he was forgetting, but because he'd finally remembered enough. Epilogue. A year later, Ryan opened a small auto repair shop on the outskirts of Harrisburg. It wasn't fancy, but it was honest work. He'd hang photos of customers' cars on the walls, and sometimes, when the garage was quiet, he'd write in a small notebook he kept in the drawer under the counter. Not a journal, not exactly, just thoughts, conversations he never got to have, and sometimes letters to a girl who once waited for him. He never expected peace, but he'd found something close. Clarity. And sometimes, that was enough. Sometimes, forgiveness doesn't come when you expect it, and closure looks nothing like you imagined. If this story moved you, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it, because healing starts when we finally stop running.